boa tarde, boa noite a todos. Mais uma vez, muito obrigada pela presença de vocês. É um prazer estar aqui hoje representando a SPE Brasil e trazendo um DigiTalk. Nós fazemos parte do Comitê de Transformação Digital. Nosso presidente é o Farid. Eu sou co-chair desse grupo de transformação, desse comitê técnico de transformação digital, onde a gente tem lá mais de 50 integrantes. E dentro da nossa página aí, vocês podem acessar e preencher um forms e também fazer parte desse comitê de transformação digital. Então, dentro desse comitê, a gente tem programado algumas apresentações. Esse é o nosso 5º DigiTalk, com muito orgulho. É um comitê novo, um comitê que começou durante esse ano, e a gente vai ter outras novidades para vocês aí no transcorrer desse ano. A gente está planejando algumas coisas bastante interessantes, pod talks, porque se a gente está falando de transformação digital, a gente tem que trazer essas novidades, e também vai ter o nosso evento internacional de transformação digital da SPE. Então, sem demorar muito para dar chance desses dois grandes apresentadores que vão estar com a gente hoje dividirem com vocês o que uma transformação digital pode ajudar na área de poços, eu vou fazer uma breve introdução. Todos nós sabemos da importância da área de poços. Ele tem um custo aí na perfuração impactante, um pouco menor do que 50%, no máximo aí até um 40%. E toda essa transformação digital, ela pode vir acelerar, inclusive, tanto na curva de aprendizagem, como na otimização da perfuração e da produção. Então, a gente hoje vai ter aqui conosco dois grandes representantes, dois palestrantes, representantes da indústria, o Augusto Borella, da Intelli, e o Di Strand, da Óleo Soft. O Augusto vai apresentar o Borella. Hoje eu estou desde mais cedo chamando o Borella de Augusto. Todo mundo sabe que ele é o Borella. Acho que eu estou tendo um déjà vu aqui, 20 anos atrás, 15 anos atrás, quando a gente esteve juntos na área internacional. Mas o importante é que tanto a Intelli quanto a Óleo só trazer para a gente o que eles têm de vanguarda, de mais novo, de como está sendo utilizada essa parte de transformação digital de poços. Então, a gente vai começar com o Borella, como eu falei para vocês. O Borella, ele vai fazer a gentileza de apresentar em inglês, para a gente já ter o Jim envolvido conosco desde todas as apresentações. Todas as perguntas de vocês são bem-vindas em português ou em inglês. So, as I said, Jim, Borella will start the presentations at this evening. He will present in English, so you can be already engaged in all the presentations. I already told everybody to please add your questions or comments on the chat that we have, and these questions or comments can be in English or in Portuguese. So to start, let me to introduce Borella. If Borella needs introduction, no, everybody knows him.
Okay, thank you very much, Ana Paula. Boa noite a todos. I would like to thank the Digital Transformation Committee at SPE Brasil. In their name, thanks Farid and Ana Paula for the invitation, but feel the committee all thanked by this invitation. It's a pleasure to talk about how to apply digital transformation and emergent technologies to leverage that value with speed in the drilling operations. So this is going to be the topic that I intend to go a little bit deeper today. It's a very challenging to talk in 25 minutes about that. I'll be brief. Maybe I will speak fast, but I will be glad to answer questions if something is not clear. Okay. So first, I would like to talk a little bit about Intel. Intel is a Brazilian technology company that started in 2008. Nowadays, we have been applying AI with human knowledge to deliver results from data to our customers. We have a real-time operational platform that we are calling today an operational AI platform to deliver value from data. We have over 20 employees, among them 200 employees, among them data scientists, software developers, and engineers to allow us to create new solutions and innovate using emergent technologies. So first of all, when we talk about drilling operations in real time, mainly what we want to deliver as value to operators is to guarantee that the corporate risks are being managed. And usually IntelliLive platform is the fuel or the main engine inside real-time operation centers. And executives put real-time operation centers in place to guarantee that all barriers for avoiding environmental and people to guarantee environmental and people safety, to guarantee process safety that we can also call compliance, and especially when we talk about regulators in many different countries, we need to guarantee that the process is being performed, we have evidences, the process can be audited. So we use the real-time operation platform to make the registries that allows further audit from regulatory agencies, and with that, delivery compliance to our customers. We also intend to deliver asset integrity, not only guaranteeing the maintenance of assets, but also to guarantee that there's no catastrophic failure on those assets. That's another way to protect the environment and people. And finally, if we can complete the race with safety and with compliance and with integrity, we are allowed to go faster. So we are building an approach where not being the optimum performance parameters is also a top event in our risk management. So we can treat all those four main drivers equally and with the same process. And that's something that we are going to talk later on. But it's important, those are the values that we deliver in real time. And once again, I want to like to emphasize our main activities related with real-time streaming and solutions for real-time operation centers, okay? And how do we deliver that? We have, at the end of the day, three unique pillars. We have data quality management in real time. We are working very hard to guarantee the symbiosis between humans and AI. So we want humans to be in the process loop when they matter the most, for humans feedbacks when it's the most needed, and the same, humans giving feedback to AI in a way that we can improve the AI models. So with that in our platform, we guarantee what matters the most to enable AI, data, and human feedback and symbiosis. And finally, we also have in our tool some operational AI apps that accelerates the delivery of value for drilling operations. And with that, we enable AI where it matters the most, to help operators to take better decisions and guarantee that the barriers that avoid the key top events for the business are in place, and we guarantee a safe and performant operation. So for doing that, our tool, the platform allows to unleash innovation potential from people, data, and those emergent technologies by combining IoT, when we collect the sensor data, guarantee data quality, availability, synchronization, and integration. With that, we have what is being observed in the real world. This is the real world convergence with the digital world. Once we have the observed values, we can compare them with physical models that needs to be run in real time in our case, because we want to support real-time decisions. That can be steady state models, transient models. Sometimes the models are not even available to be run in real time. That's a type of challenge that's pretty common to face. And with those simulations, physical simulations, we can have some expected value that we compare with the observed ones. And with that, we can automate alarms and insights. We can do the same thing for machine learning and AI models. In this case, we are applying mathematical practices to use human annotation, classification, prediction, and even build a corporate knowledge that will support the expected values and allows us to create new alarms and new insights. All of that is full of automation. It can be process automation or even equipment automation, and this automation is what guarantees process safety and consistency to the operations. And finally, we take into consideration to the humans in the center of all of this, the human-centric visualization, human-centric workflows, in a way that we make a smoother flow, and we make adoption to be easier for humans. And with that, we expect to allow our customers to deliver better business results in safety, compliance, integrity, and performance. So with that, I would like to emphasize that with our platform, having the data available, being able to connect emergent technology, allowing to reinvent and rethink engineering processes with relevant UX, we allow our customers to deliver augmented engineering, to rethink the engineering, considering the existence of those data and those emergent technologies. That's highly potentialized in real time by our operational AI tool. And to deliver real RTOC at scale practices and in a broader approach, not only taking into account performance, but also safety, compliance, and integrity, we have been working in a technique to follow up, to make risk management. That is a real-time bow-tie solution where we can move from engineering tasks and dashboards and really deliver the management or corporate risks with automated protocols to guarantee that the barriers are in place. We are working very hard to integrate planning operation. I'm here talking about planning, not the dimension, the engineering simulations for planning, but the operational sequence, because this operational sequence delivers for real time the context that we are going to need to identify what's going on in the well and which are the risks and the barriers that need to be in place. So you want to move from a manually integrated and sometimes not integrated at all workflow between planning and real time. And we want the operational plan to be a relevant context for real time. And with that, allow real time to feed the plan with actual rig performances. We're also delivering and working very hard on automation, not only workflows automation, but we are looking also how to be relevant on rig automation, rig equipment automation also. And we have been talking instead of talking about artificial intelligence, we have been talking more about augmented intelligence in a way that we can deliver augmented engineers, potentialized and working in a symbiosis with machine learning and AI models at scale. We have been seeing many customers and many operators in the industry doing AI on demand, but we really need, as an industry, to collect all the value that is available. We need to be able to do that at scale, and that's the real challenge, and that's the direction that we are working to the future. Okay, so giving a bigger deep dive here in the tool that we have been calling Sequence Builder. The Sequence Builder will deliver exactly the operational planning to the real-time operations, because we need to know which operations are going to be run during the well construction to guarantee that we have the right context. Nowadays, those sequences are highly human dependent. We are creating a tool that allows our customers to automate their Sequence Builder tool in a way that it's more human-centric wizard, where engineers answer questions, and at the end of the day, when all questions are answered, we have the operational sequence available with the estimated durations based on the rig performance. So once we know the operations that are going to be performed in the well, we can feed context to the real-time tool and allow the right symbiosis and the right questions and insights in the right moment to the humans. We intend also to be able to correlate all the operations to cost, risk, and logistic, and even emissions context in a way that we can create barriers, alarms, insights, or even protocols that need to be automated and triggered once some criteria, operational criteria, is not fulfilled. So when a barrier needs to be in place or we are losing a barrier, we can have the context that comes from the operational planning. And finally, we can use the full well and rig key performance indicators that we monitor in real time to feed the plan. And with this model, it's a very innovative approach that we have built. We can use the connection time for each tubular, for example, to field to come back and reevaluate the whole campaign plan. So with this model, we allowed not only to go as deep as the rig automation, but we can also go as further as the campaign plan, and everything integrated in many different layers. So this is some innovative that we are bringing with a very strong data integration and engineering modeling using all emergent technologies capabilities to deliver that. So to come to a conclusion, here our choices as company for the future of digital transformation in the drilling activity. We are working very hard to scale up operational planning and real-time integration. For this integration, it includes the application of natural language processing, the NLP. We also want to scale up the real-time risk management. We are used to run risk management, but always looking to the past. We want to have the risk awareness in real time updated based on the barriers for the bow-tie approach, and also automate corporate protocols to guarantee that when a barrier is not in place, we need to take actions, decisions and actions to guarantee that this barrier come back in the right place again, or even if we need to stop the operation if the risk level is too high or unacceptable. Okay, so we want to automate business rules in terms of risk management. We also are looking to expand the real-time applications associated to availability management, and not only awareness of the availability, also prediction. That's a high correlation with condition-based maintenance, condition-based monitoring, reliability modeling, and all associated to that. There's a lot of room to improve on the capability of awareness in terms of availability and reliability of drilling systems. And we are working hard also to be relevant on the rig automation. We want to accelerate this process. We have some capabilities, strong capabilities related to the operational planning, and we expect to be able to accelerate the full rig automation vision as an important and relevant stakeholder in this process with our technology. So I thank you all for the opportunity and your attention, and I will be glad to answer questions at the end of the session.
Wow, Borella, thank you so much. As always, a wonderful presentation. You stick in time, and you did this in a maze less than 20 minutes. So thanks a lot for that. This will give us a lot of space to talk, to discuss at the end, you know. But all the things that you brought to us just was a very good sound to my ears, no? The automation, stick on the drilling, reduce the risk. So I think this is exactly what this digital transformation can bring to us. So let's now pass to Jean. And for Jean, I will introduce him as appropriate one that I didn't did with Borella. Sorry for that, Borella. I part we do not understood. I was to start to present you, but let's do this with Jean. So Jean Strand has a master in drilling engineer for NTNU and MBA from MIT. He has worked as a drilling engineer in various Norwegian operator companies. He's a founder and chief of the produce officer in Untitled. So Jean, very welcome. Thanks for being here, and this stage is yours.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Anna. And also thank you so much to the committee for nominating and inviting us to this event. It's a pleasure to be here and talk to you all. Also, Borella, I have to say, a really interesting presentation, and I think we have a lot in common. So let's talk after this event, I think. So I've been invited to talk a little bit about where we come from and how we view the world, and a little bit around automation, and maybe I will get some time to actually show you some automation in practice. So I will do a few slides for you, and then maybe we get the time to do a full well design at the end. So I'll go through the presentation just to verify you can see my screen. Yeah, my name is Jim Strand. I'm a co-founder and CPO of Oliasoft. Oliasoft as a company, we are situated in Norway, but we have customers almost in all regions. The company started out in 2015, and we have been developing one single product since then, which is Oliasoft Well Design, and I'll talk a little bit more about that going forward. But I wanted to start out with this slide, which is a general digitalization slide. And maybe it needs some context. So I want to take you back to 2015. There was a report written by McKinsey & Company in 2015, and they studied the oil industry. And the conclusion from their report was that the oil industry was not very digital. It was very manual. And they said that if the oil industry are able to move up in the digital hierarchy, and by that they meant be more automated and more autonomous, then the oil industry on average could save approximately $7 per barrel produced. This report was really the start of all these huge digitalization processes that is going on today. So Equinor, Shell, Petronas, Chevron, and ExxonMobil, they all started really big digitalization projects after that report. And today, most big oil companies have a digital strategy, and it looks something like this. It's a straight line that wants to take the company and move it up in the digital hierarchy. It means move away from manual processes to more automatic processes, and finally, sometime in the future, maybe achieve some sort of autonomy. And for drilling and well, where we are situated, you know, the holy grail is some sort of autonomous drilling operations. So what we have seen is, you know, what milestones do we need to achieve in order to come closer to this reality in the future? And one big milestone that needs to be achieved is a larger degree of automated well planning. And in order to achieve that, you actually need new calculation engines that are able to take instructions from other machines and not necessarily just from humans through a user interface. And that is really the reason why Oliasoft exists. So this is sort of what we bring to the world. It's a lot of calculators that are able to take instructions from other machines. And then we have seen that you know, the industry has been on a journey, and a lot of efforts has been put in these dotted lines. It means that trying to get the legacy systems to work properly. The problem, as the industry has learned, is that legacy systems have strict technical limitations built into them. So no matter how much effort you put into this line, there are limitations in those old legacy systems. So that's why sort of you have to take a decision at some point to actually change the technology curve. Okay, so a bit back to Olasoft. What we deliver specifically is a product called Olasoft Well Design, which has 6 modules for well planning. It is trajectory design and modeling, casing design, torque and drag, hydraulics, surge and swab, tubing design, and blowout and kill. So there are already engines that do this on the market. The difference here is that we have made everything from scratch to work in a modern infrastructure, and that is the key here. A typical modern oil company that are in the process of digitizing itself have learned that there is no one solution that fits all. What we will see in the future is lots of solutions that seamlessly talk to each other. So I want to focus on the drawing on the right hand side. This is a typical infrastructure for at least for European and American companies now. So there are multiple layers in their digital journey here, and at the bottom basically it is a cloud platform. Most oil companies today, they have chosen a cloud platform, and for the oil industry specifically, Microsoft has over 80% market share. So most people are on Microsoft today. On top of these cloud platforms, the oil companies want to build a data repository in order to keep the data that it has in a structured way and free from the applications that actually created the data. And this is important for many reasons. On top of these data repositories, we get a lot of domain-specific applications. We are one of many. We have made integrations to over 30 companies in this specific category. So you will have companies there ranging from geology, geophysics, drilling and well production, and the entire value chain of oil and gas in here. And on top of that, some oil companies are building automation routines. And in the end, you can put artificial intelligence on this whole infrastructure. What's important to mention here is just that there are only modern solutions that actually work in an infrastructure like this. It means that these solutions can actually talk seamlessly to each other, and you can talk in the vertical seamlessly as well. So I will show you some practical examples of how we are integrated in the horizontal and also in the vertical to achieve automation. I just want to double check the time here. I'm not going over. Okay, 10 minutes left. Before I jump to a quick demo, I'll just mention the 3 types of customers that we have, because all customers are different. So the first category of customers are typically smaller operators or consultancy companies. They simply want a better product than the legacy system that they have. So to serve these customers, we have our own user interface that communicates to our own calculators. Basically, it's just a tool that they can use as the same way as they use the legacy system, but with a built-in automation routines in there. So I'll show that. The second type of customers that we have are typically larger oil companies or third-party companies that has built their own product, basically. And in their own product, they want to be able to do some of these calculations. So they can communicate to our calculators. And we have lots of examples of this, and there are lots of third-party solutions that actually use our calculators without you actually knowing that we are actually the one that calculated. And then the third type of customers are typically smaller operators that want to do what these guys are doing, but they don't have the budget to do it. They might have a separate product that they want to integrate into our user interface. So we have some examples on that. This is just a screenshot from our application, and there's some modeling from a third-party company in there called DrillScan. So that is just some specific examples on how this can be done. So I'll spend 5 minutes just showing you in practice how some of these integrations and automations can actually happen. So I'll jump to our application first. I'll just log in here. And in another tab here, I have open some data from, not from OSDU, but from Cognite, which is a similar vendor as OSDU. It is a data repository capable of storing all the data for an oil company. So this is their website, and this is just a repository there. And here there are an example well with some data in it. And there are, for example, let's see if I can get in here. There are some, yeah, that doesn't work. Okay, there are some pore pressures in here, formation tops, and a trajectory in here. That's typically the input to engines like ours. So if I jump into our application, we can create a new project here. So I'll just create a new project, new automated well design. Now we have a completely empty project in our application. I will not have time to go through all of this, of course, but as you can see, there are no formation data in here. There is no trajectories in here. There are no casing design in here at all. But what we do have is a seamless integration to Cognite. So if I'm a customer that has access to Cognite, I can go in here and actually fetch whatever data I need from their repository. So I've connected to Cognite now. I see that there is one well stored in my data repository. I want to fetch that data. And here there's just some labels of what type of data that I can fetch. So I'll import that into the data set. And now what I have is formation data, for example. These are the pore and frac pressures that were stored some other place. I can also go in and change this if I want to. So I can make changes to the data. I can do something like that. Temperatures are here. A simple trajectory is here, but still no well design. So we have a way of automating well design called rule-based design. So I'll just show that really quickly here. I'll go to automated design, and I'll choose a rule set for how can I automate a design. So a rule set contains rules for setting depths, cement properties, mud weights, strategy for mud weight, properties on the mud, what load cases to calculate, what thermal cases to simulate, and so on. So I'll just start that. First, we calculate setting depths. We calculate mud weights. We can change, the mud weight strategy if we want to. We can move on to calculate all of the loads and thermal simulations and torque and drag simulations and hydraulic simulations that we need. That will take typically some time, but still is pretty fast here. And when that's done, it will do some automated material selection based on the safety factors of all of those load cases. So what I'll end up with here is sort of a selection of material properties and which ones gives a satisfactory safety factor and not. So I'll just finish off that. And what I can see now is that I have a fully populated data set. So pretty much a fully planned well with all of the sections defined, all of my depths defined, mud weights defined, string details defined, initial conditions, all of the load cases simulated. I can go in here and investigate them if I wanted to, look at differential pressures, axial loads, von Mises stresses, whatever, safety factors and so on. And if I want to, I can now go and send the results that we calculate back into Cognite. So I have a separate button here. I can send that back to Cognite. And that's the whole point of this, that we can actually send data back and forth. And you can imagine that there are companies that are after Oliasoft in the value chain that can use the results that we generate. So then they can connect to some of these data lakes and pick it up and do some more things with the data, and that way achieve a very large degree of automation. Yeah, I think I'll finish there actually. I have a couple of minutes left, but we can save that for the discussion, and if you are interested, I can go through some more details here.
Wow, Jim, thanks a lot for the presentation. Very good to see your system and the solutions that you can deliver. We have we have some questions at the chat, and everybody saying congratulations and thank you for both of you for the presentations. So let's start with the questions. The first one came from Jalel, and I believe that is directly for you, Borella. So please, how long will it take to get drillers and tool pushers trained on the system? Or a specialist will be on board the offshore facility to speed up the process?
Okay, very good question. This is, I know that there are many executives that don't like the expression journey, but when we talk about evolution, especially with incremental innovations, because in our industry we are going to perform incremental innovations. We are not going to take too much risk, okay, in just one step. We are going to do that step by step and getting confidence in the systems, in the automation systems. So I really believe in the very beginning we are going to have a specialist giving some support to the drillers, but mainly to capture the drilling needs. So when I say human-centric workflows or human-centric visualization, we need to model or interview the personas that are going to use the solution. For example, in this case, the driller and the tool pusher, and we need to create an interface that makes easier to them to get used and make sense to them. So for sure, we are going to have an interaction and apply agile methodologies to get their feedbacks and improving the user experience. So most probably the specialist will be somebody from design, a designer that will help to collect their feedbacks and create a solution that's centered in their workflow and their needs in a way that they feel more comfortable to adopt the tool. But it's going to be a long process, because when we take a look in all the type of operations that we have in a drilling sequence, we can have tripping, circulating, drilling, and running casing. So all those operations by themselves will need to have a deep dive to verify what can be automated, which are the key parameters, and how to do that, how to get the feedback from the engineering, which simulations need to be run for each one of them, and how to give the commands to the equipment offshore, when we need an engineer, a driller acknowledgement, and when we are going to automate. So there are lots of definitions that are going to be built inside squads that are going to work on the automation process. Yeah, I don't know if I answered your question, but but that's the challenge. We need to put some energy on that and head squads, multi-diversity squads with multi-competences in a way that we can build an easier solution to be adopted.
Yeah, completely agree with you. I don't know, Jean, if you would like to complement that, or if you can move for the next one.
Yeah, I just want to, agree with Borella. The development of these systems does take some time. Now, Olasoft are more product-oriented, but still, you have to do it together with the customer to actually capture all of these valuable use cases that you need to do. So,
yeah, you most probably, Jim, have the same challenge with the design engineers, isn't it? So, the drillers don't use your tool, but the design engineers do, and you need to take their perspective into consideration.
Yeah, absolutely.
So prior to go to the next question from the audience, I would like to use a hook and bring some comments to both of you to complement that. So drilling is full of many repetitive tasks, such as making connections, pull out of the hole, circulate, and everything else. And the drilling crews can complete this. It's a very repetitive way, but they cannot give the constance of that. So you can go from a very challenging and champion well when you are drilling to another that you have a catastrophe in the middle of the sequence. So I would like to both of you to comment how these digital solutions, how these digital tools can help us to avoid that, as well as the risks that we have inside of this kind of operations.
Who can start here? Do you mind if I start, Jim?
I'll go ahead.
That's a very good point, Ana Paula. And the key element, usually when we talk about performance, we focus on the mean time, okay? Mm-hmm. And when we want consistency, we are not talking about mean time, but we are talking about standard deviation. So we should measure the KPIs standard deviation, and the automation is key to deliver smaller standard deviations. And working on that, so that's why process automation and also equipment automation allows us to repetitively perform the same way. And we can measure that through standard deviation. But for doing that, we need to create internal process that measures the standard deviation and is not a common mindset in the drilling teams. We know there are some leaders in our industry that have worked a lot on that, but it still is not the industry mindset, especially in the drilling mindset, to take a look in the standard deviation, not only in the meantime.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can just complement that. Rig automation or equipment automation has been around for some time. And let's take Equinor as an example, which is a very advanced company with regards to rig automation. They have actually measured a significant increase in efficiency, but they do not know exactly why. But they have measured an increase in efficiency, and I think it has to do with the accuracy that these automation routines offer. And we will see in the future not only rig automation but more rig robotics, which actually will take instructions from machines onshore. So, as an example, we are now working on a project that we calculate all of the well design properties, and we send those results to some other third party. That third party actually generates some digital operating procedures with that data, and they translate that data to actually rig robotic instructions. And that way they can actually make the rig robotics carry out tasks, and basically you are making the driller a process operator more than an active contributor to the operation. But of course, this is still very early days. But I think in the future, you will see that kind of a loop. And when you then start drilling, this will all be a loop that is continuously recalculating everything. So that's the direction we want to go.
Yes. No, thanks, Guy. And I really think that this automation you bring to us the value to really reduce the invisible loss times. Normally, you don't talk about that. You just talk about the no productive times, but the efficiency will be exactly behind on these invisible loss times. So let's come back. We have a lot of questions, as I told you. So you have now from Marcelo Zampieri, and he's asking, how do you train outlier events when applying ML in real-time wells? Do you use analog fields for the forecasting since you could not have many operational issues still happening at the target field? And he continues, okay? Actually, my question could be extended for many disciplines, such as production, drilling, maintenance, and so on. So, Jean, if you'd like to start answering that, please.
Yeah, actually, we do not do machine learning. We are a pure physics-based solution, but we do tap into AI on the downstream because we generate lots of data, and our calculators are able to take instructions from other machines. It means that other artificial intelligence engines, such as Borellas, they could communicate with our calculation engines, right? But we do not develop machine learning itself.
Yeah, and that's a very, very good question, and that's why we have been doing machine learning and AI ad hoc, because I have the opinion, and now I'm expressing my personal opinion here. The next years of machine learning and AI, it's about collecting human feedback, because machine learning AI, it's based on emulating human decisions and actions based on mathematical models. So we cannot emulate something that we don't have a reference to emulate. And that's the challenge. Sometimes we have the expectation that machine learning and AI will solve our ignorance about a problem. So the first I recommend my customers to start with physical models. So we have the capability, and we don't want to make well design. So we could have the capability to connect to a solution like Olayasoft to have the design of the well, and with that, feed some context to a model, for example. Looking past wells, just wondering here. But the challenge is sometimes we try to model with AI something that we don't even have any annotation, don't even have a physical model. And when I talk about humans giving feedback to AI, is to solve that. So the way that I really believe the next, I would say 3 or 5 years, our focus will be to collect humans' feedback and the right humans' feedback seamlessly, in a way that the human beings are not seeing that they are giving the feedback, but we are annotating the data to emulate their decisions using real time. And our way to do that, for example, is to use the outliers as an ambiguity scenario. So when you have an outlier, maybe your model is not working well. So you should collect a human feedback on that. So that's the moment where the symbiosis arise. So the model needs to know that it is in a scenario that it's not good to predict, and we will ask for a human feedback to improve the model itself. Okay, so I would say your question is the real innovation challenge to be allowed to apply machine learning and AI at scale in real time for the next 3 or 5 years. Okay, that's a real problem that needs to be solved yet. There's no ready solution for that.
Yeah, and I just want to mention also, we have seen a lot of these artificial intelligence initiatives over the years, and one challenge or one dangerous thing is that, especially for companies early on in their digitalization journey, it can be easy or it can be very tempting to look into machine learning and artificial intelligence. But artificial intelligence really requires you to have really good control of your data first. So if you do not have control of the data, if your data is locked away in some legacy systems, you will not get the AI to work. So start with the basics and then build from there.
Fully agree.
Yeah. You need to walk, and after you need to run. And to run, you need to understand exactly what is the picture behind of us. Because of this, I raised the invisible lost time. So you need to understand what's the data, what's your problem, and how to achieve that, and how have the consistency. Very good, guys. Very good discussions, no? So let's continue here. This another questions come from Mateus Moreira. Does well-designed support selection criteria for MPD scenarios as well? Please extend the question to eventual well-controlled situations. Borelli, if you would like to start now? Or, okay, no, go ahead, Jim, go ahead.
I assume he's talking about Olasoft well-designed in that particular question, and the answer is yes. Our hydraulics module fully supports MPD operations. So what you can do is to create rules for various hydraulic scenarios when you're automating a design. So you can do that, and you can also hook on things like blowout and kill simulations to that. So anything that I can do manually in the user interface, you can actually do automatically using the API and rules for automation.
Yeah, I would like to contribute here to the point, the rules or protocols or alarms, anything that we want to call. It's important that the corporations have clearly stated their criteria, because usually in the softwares we can customize the rules. Which is your criteria to accept the well design, or which is your criteria to go ahead with the drilling operation in real time if you lose mud weight. So with those tools, we can create the rule or a protocol or an alarm and spread that for the whole fleet and guarantee that every time this rule is broken, you can take an action and be aware of, But the very first step is you need a functional area that have stated the rules, and that's very challenging because sometimes corporations don't have a strong functional area that establishes the rules. And when we start to apply automation, the very first question is, which is my rule? And it's not easy, even sometimes technically, to take the right decision. I myself have run for 2 years a functional area in a big operator, and we had many challenges related with which is the right rule. And the system needs this human input. Humans need to create the rules. And the secret sauce of each operator are those rules that they create to monitor and guarantee safety or decisions in their operations. It can be in the design, it can be in the real time, but the mechanical is the same. You need to establish a rule and put stuck up rules and rules. That's what machine can deliver to us. We can put as many rules we want, and the software will verify and check that.
Oh, thank you. Mateus appreciate the feedback he's saying here. Thank you to you guys. We have another very important point here on the chat that we need to discuss. No? So it's about the 5G. So this comes from Bruno Ribeiro. Talking about infrastructure, we know that 5G is a technology that allows great storage. And it's not a reality yet in Brazil. In order to reach an autonomous process, do you need to have a 5G established, or it can be developed with the current technology?
Okay, very good question. I have the opinion that we can do that with the current technology in terms of data transmission, because we are not going to be able to rely on data transmission. We are going to, especially on remote areas, we are going to be able to run the key models on the edge. So the challenge is how to balance what is going to be running the edge and what's going to be running the cloud. That's the effective challenge when we talk about automation, and those are critical decisions in this process of automating. And I would like also to mention, once Intelli right now is also a Viasat company, and Viasat is a company that delivers data transmission for the whole world through satellites with broadband. We are ready to, we are close to have Viasat 3 on orbiting the Earth, and we are going to be able to deliver a high bandwidth in the near future for those operations. But we are going to combine everything. Digital, remote calculations in the cloud with satellite or 5G or the best available technology, and also edge computation. We are going to need edge computation for sure.
Yeah, I can just compliment that. That's a great question and a huge topic, actually, which we can discuss for hours. Because in order to get to the top of the digital hierarchy that I talked about and achieve true automation, you need the systems to seamlessly interact between the onshore systems and the offshore systems. And in order to do that, you need connection security. And 5G could be a contributor in that. Some larger fields in Norway actually put out huge fiber cables from shore out to the platforms just to have the connection security. And I think you will probably need that when you're talking about rig robotics and stuff like that. But for the in the short term, I think the systems will live in separate worlds. You will have systems offshore that can be compartmentalized offshore and be automated there, and then you will have separate systems in the cloud and onshore, and maybe sync on connections and stuff like that. But when you actually put these together and you rely on them working together, you need to think about connection security, and that is a really big topic. And yeah, just things like latency and things like this.
Yes, this is another very huge topic to be discussed now. But we also have on provocation here on the site, on the chat with the questions. So all the developments that still need to be done will arrive before the downsize of exploration operations to come. How your companies handles that? This comes from our friend Clemente from Petrobras. Borelli, you are in mute.
Sorry. That's a very good question, and I will start taking this one. There are, first thing, I strongly believe that digital transformation key driver is to make transactional costs tend to zero. So we are going to automate because in a huge scale, we are going to gain productivity as a whole, as the industry. That's one perspective. I believe that the downsize of the exploration operations will not necessarily reduce the demand or impact the capability to reduce costs related with the automation. And also, when we talk about the digital transformation in general, it's common to talk about uncommon partners. And I really believe that innovation is all about partnership. Companies have becoming very specialized, so most probably multiple companies will need to cooperate together to deliver the automation in a fair cost and with a fair development cost. We have been seeing some movements in the industry with some companies cooperating with this objective. So I believe these partnerships are going to reduce the development cost of the technology. And finally, we need to remember that we have some resources that are supporting technological development, especially in Brazil, that comes from Brazilian regulation. And of course, we expect that operators commit strongly with projects that will accelerate the rig automation capability for our industry as a whole, using those resources for sure.
Yeah, to answer Clemente's question there from my side, I actually don't agree that we have a downsizing, and I'm actually a huge optimist on the behalf of the oil industry, and I actually have one slide about it. So if you have my presentation, I'll just do one slide, and it has to do with CCS. So carbon capture and storage. What we're looking at, I don't know if we have the slide here, but let's see. Are you able to put my slide up?
Yeah, Farouk, can
There we go.
Yes,
there
yes.
we go. I'll share this with you, and you probably know this already, but the world is moving to carbon neutral world, whether we like it or not. There is no way around it. And there are many plans for how to do it. Regardless of how we actually manage to do it, there will be a major component from CCS. So currently, there are, Gates Foundation, Rystad, and the EIA in the US. They all predict that we need at least 10 gigatons of CCS by 2050. So what you have here is just global emissions. If the world manages to reduce its emissions, we will still need 10 gigatons of CCS in 2050. More likely, we will not be able to achieve this. We will maybe achieve something in the middle. It means that you need even more CCS. And if we look at that number, 10 gigatons, this is the global oil production today. That's 4.2 gigatons per year. The CCS industry will be twice the size of the global industry, oil industry. And this is not fiction. And it's actually starting right now. We have the first projects in Norway, and there's actually 40 sanctioned projects worldwide with a pretty big sort of a well program to follow that. And when we look at the type of injection, the liquid CO2 injection rates that we get in these wells, we are looking at between 15 to 20,000 wells worldwide. So that's quite a lot of operations, and this is not exactly super profitable wells. The finance mechanisms behind these wells are completely different than what is today. These types of wells will probably be financed by CO2 taxes, and then the governments will pay companies to actually drill and inject liquid CO2. So we are talking about low margins here, and even an even higher demand on efficiency and quick and safe operations. So for service companies in this space, I'm a huge optimist. There's going to be a lot of drilling in the future.
That's a wonderful news, and I huge believe on that as well. And I think you have the obligation to support it, and all the innovations come on this direction as well. No? So we have some comments on the chat. I would like to bring the Patrick Machado ones. That is a wonderful presentation. I am anxious to see the new automation tools change our day-to-day work. I think all of us are looking for that as well. And Jean, I would like to add another question to you and Borella. We can start with you. So implement all of this. Have your customers quantified the efficiency that this can achieve with the new digital tools? Do you have these numbers or at least some idea of that?
Yeah, sure. We have those numbers from some of our customers. If we're talking global, World Economic Forum, they estimate that the global oil industry will save approximately $1.6 trillion. That's American trillions. From digitalization. And one of our customers, Equinor, they are aiming to save $4 billion every year. And they claim that their new ways of doing things in 2019 and 2020 has already saved them $1 billion per year in extra cash flow from the use of new digital tools. So that's quite a compelling story. And from the specific use of our tool, Equinor and Shell, they estimate that they save 60% time on well design or something like that. So we have quite good quantifiable data.
And this is quite important. You need to publish that. You need to put in paper, because it's not just fancy or trendy or because you are nice, but this can bring us value, monetary value. So this is pretty good.
Yeah. We have many customers that have written papers sharing the benefits, even for saving, avoiding non-productive times, or even avoiding losses. Usually, I can share with SPE team, digital transformation team, later the articles. We usually don't mention customer results, but the fact is, and something that I would like to mention to you, and it's very important. Any business, doesn't matter the change that you want to make, sustainability, inclusion, and performance, we need the executives to evaluate the benefit and the final result of benefit for the company. This is the oxygen of companies. Companies exist because they make revenue and they make profit from this revenue. So, I'm very positive that all digital transformation leader is working internally in your corporation to evaluate and measure the benefit. And there are very big. The key challenge sometimes is to establish the reference line of performance to be able to show that you really improved from the previous, the baseline, to define the performance baseline to prove that you really improved the performance. Okay, but I have seen many cases nowadays with the projects getting more mature, with strong business results, and I would suggest you to talk to your digital transformation leader and ask him for the business cases of your company, and you are going to see a lot of value being generated, very tangible value, for sure.
Oh, guys, thanks a lot. I know that's quite late especially for Jean, that is in Norway, so it's more than midnight there. But I would like to close this talk, that starting by Jean, say your last words, and here is our we are so thankful to have you here, and to have this talk was so nice, and to support our digital talks.
Yeah, well, the pleasure is all mine. I just have to thank you for inviting me. It's been really interesting, and I'm really glad and good to meet all of you guys. And thank you to all the participants. And it's I can still remember the first time I went to Brazil. It was a dream, so I would like to go back as soon as possible. If anyone, has something, there, you can invite me or something like that. I'll be on the first flight down. And please feel free to reach out to me for any questions on LinkedIn or email or whatever. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. Borella.
Okay, I would like once again to thank the invitation and so constructive discussions. I'm glad also to see and to present that in digital transformation, we are going to have specialized companies. We are, as Olaya Software, we have a solution that is an API driven, so we could connect to them. If a customer needs, we don't intend to make well-designed solutions because it's hard stuff. It's not easy to model all those equations and put them to work properly. We are a stream analytic tool for real time that we can put on top AI and physical models. And I would like also to emphasize that we need to be the transformation of our companies. The difference between digital transformation in our smartphone from in our companies is that in our smartphone there are many service providers trying to make us use them. So they are transforming their processes to be attractive to us. But in our daily basis work, it's up to us to transform, to ask what is needed. So we really need, our industry really need executives that delivers the right context for unleashing innovation with data availability, emergent technologies availability, and also knowledge availability, and people freedom to innovate. And also we need engineers, innovative engineers that are going to rethink and reinvent processes using those technologies. So if we don't provocate our companies to change, they are not going to change and nobody is going to come with the solution. We need to transform our way to work every day, all of us. So that's for me the key drive for digital transformation is all about continuous innovation for human existence anywhere, anytime, any place.
Wow, what else I can say after that? Nothing. Just that you really need. We have all the tools. We are there, no? We are trying to bring this innovation, this new way to think to our industry, and I think we really need to embrace that and change the thing. So again, guys, thank you so much. Thank our audience here. It's a pleasure to have you guys here every time connecting with us. And if allowed me, I would to switch to Portuguese para convidar, to invite everybody to tomorrow. So tomorrow we have another SPE letters. E contamos com vocês. Amanhã, como vocês sabem, é o nosso Tech Tuesday. E a palestra de amanhã, como todas são, mas também é muito interessante, continua a discussão, um pouco da discussão do que a gente teve aqui, eu vou ler, né, que são as estratégias experimentais de aprendizado de máquinas para combater perda de circulação do pré-sal brasileiro. Eu acho que é imperdível, todos que estavam aqui, convidamos vocês para estarem nesse mesmo bate-canal amanhã, às 6 horas da tarde, apresentação do Alex Waldman, da Petrobras, e do Gustavo Longuin, da ThingWorx X. Assim que contamos com vocês. Agradecer aqui mais uma vez ao Borella, ao Jim. Thank you, Jim and Borella, to be here tonight. Thank you, Farid, to be our chair of this committee, and thank Pedroso to be our SPE president. And for sure, thanks the audience to make this possible. Good evening to everybody.
Boa noite, obrigado.